Before the sun fully rises over the Mississippi River in the year 1900, New Orleans is already alive. Mist drifts low over the water, softening the outlines of paddle steamers tied to the docks. Their smokestacks breathe slowly, releasing dark plumes that blend into the humid morning air. The river smells of mud, commerce, and distance, carrying stories from far upriver and whispers from the Gulf. Along the levees, men move with practiced rhythm, loading cargo by hand, their voices carrying across the water in a blend of accents shaped by centuries of migration. This is a city born of motion and memory, where every street seems to hum with echoes of what came before. At the dawn of the 20th century, New Orleans feels older than the nation it belongs to. Founded long before the United States existed, the city wears its layered history openly. Spanish balconies lean over narrow streets in the French Quarter, their wrought iron darkened by time and weather. Creole cottages sit low to the ground, built to endure heat and flood alike. The city's layout follows curves and compromises rather than strict grids, shaped by the river's bends and the marshy land beneath. In 1900, New Orleans is already a place where past and present coexist, sometimes comfortably, sometimes uneasily. Daily life in New Orleans at the turn of the century moves to a rhythm unlike anywhere else in America. The climate dictates much of it. Summers are heavy and slow, pressing down on the city like a warm blanket that never quite lifts. People rise early to beat the heat and rest when the afternoon sun becomes unbearable. Fans spin lazily in open windows, and doors stay wide to invite any passing breeze. Iceboxes, not refrigerators, keep food cool, and fresh markets thrive because preservation is a constant challenge. Transportation in 1900 New Orleans reflects both tradition and transition. Horse-drawn carriages still clatter over uneven streets, while electric streetcars hum along newly laid tracks, connecting neighborhoods and expanding the city outward. The river remains the most important highway of all, carrying cotton, sugar, lumber, and countless other goods that tie New Orleans to the interior of the continent. Railroads converge here, turning the city into a critical hub between North America and the wider world. Movement is constant, but it is physical, visible, and labor-intensive. Housing in early 20th century New Orleans reveals deep social divisions. Wealthier residents live uptown, where breezes from the river offer slight relief from the heat, and grand homes line wide avenues shaded by live oaks. Poorer communities, many of them black or immigrant, crowd into low-lying areas more vulnerable to flooding and disease. Segregation is enforced by law and custom, shaping where people live, work, and gather. The city's beauty is undeniable, but so is its inequality, woven into the very geography of daily life. Work in 1900 New Orleans is dominated by the port and the industries that support it. Longshoremen, dock workers, and sailors form the backbone of the economy, their labor essential and exhausting. Sugar refineries, cotton presses, and warehouses operate around the clock during busy seasons. Outside the port, craftsmen, musicians, cooks, and small business owners sustain neighborhood life. Women's work is often invisible, centered in homes, laundries, and kitchens, while black laborers face limited opportunities despite their central role in the city's culture and economy. Technology in 1900 feels uneven and emerging. Electricity lights some streets and buildings, but gas lamps still glow in many neighborhoods. Telephones exist, but they are far from common, and news travels through newspapers and word of mouth. Music is made live, filling dance halls, churches, and street corners with sound. In this era, New Orleans becomes a cradle of new musical forms, as African rhythms, European harmonies, and Caribbean influences blend into something entirely new. The city's culture is not manufactured. It grows organically from shared spaces and shared struggle. Social life in turn-of-the-century New Orleans is rich and communal. Public gatherings define the calendar, from religious festivals to parades and balls. Mardi Gras is already a defining event, though it is more localized, shaped by neighborhood traditions and exclusive social clubs. Churches serve as anchors for community life, offering support and structure in a city where hardship is common. Despite rigid social hierarchies, people find ways to connect through food, music, and celebration. The environment surrounding New Orleans in 1900 is both generous and dangerous. The wetlands provide food and protection, but they also harbor disease and flood risk. The Mississippi River is a source of wealth and constant threat, held back by levees that are always being tested. Yellow fever and other illnesses linger in memory, reminders of how closely human life here is tied to water and weather. Nature is not a backdrop. It is an active presence shaping every decision. As the 20th century unfolds, New Orleans is tested again and again. Economic shifts, hurricanes, floods, and social change leave scars, but they also reshape the city's identity. By the time we arrive in 2026, New Orleans is still unmistakably itself, yet profoundly changed. The same river flows past the same bends, but the city that clings to its banks has learned, adapted, and endured in ways few places have. In 2026, New Orleans greets the day with familiar sounds layered over new ones. The low hum of traffic blends with the distant call of river horns. Streetcars still run along St. Charles Avenue, their green cars a living link to the past, while buses and rideshare vehicles weave through modern streets. The city moves faster now, but it has not lost its sense of rhythm. Life still follows patterns shaped by heat, water, and tradition, even as technology accelerates everything else. Daily life in modern New Orleans balances resilience and reinvention. Air conditioning hums in nearly every building, turning once unbearable summers into something manageable. Refrigeration, modern plumbing, and digital services make everyday tasks easier and safer. At the same time, the cost of living rises, and long-standing communities face pressure from development and tourism. The city's famous hospitality remains, but it is now intertwined with an economy deeply dependent on visitors from around the world. Transportation in 2026 reflects a city negotiating its future. Cars dominate, but public transit remains vital, especially for those without access to private vehicles. Bicycles and pedestrian-friendly initiatives gain ground, encouraged by a growing awareness of sustainability. The Port of New Orleans is more mechanized than ever, moving massive volumes of cargo with fewer hands, yet still anchoring the city's role in global trade. The river remains central, even as technology reshapes how it is used. Housing in modern New Orleans tells a story of adaptation and tension. Historic homes are restored and protected, their architectural details celebrated as part of the city's identity. New construction rises in areas once considered undesirable, often elevated to withstand flooding. Yet housing affordability is a constant concern, especially in the wake of past disasters that displaced thousands. Neighborhoods struggle to hold onto their character as outside investment brings both opportunity and disruption. Work in 2026 New Orleans extends beyond the docks and factories of the past. Tourism, healthcare, education, and the creative industries play major roles in the economy. Musicians, chefs, artists, and cultural workers carry forward traditions while reaching global audiences through digital platforms. Remote work allows some residents to stay connected to national and international markets without leaving the city. Still, economic inequality persists, reflecting long-standing structural challenges that modernization alone has not solved. Technology permeates modern New Orleans in ways unimaginable in 1900. Smartphones connect residents instantly to news, weather alerts, and each other. Advanced forecasting and engineering aim to protect the city from storms and rising seas. Social media amplifies the city's voice, sharing its culture and struggles with the world. Yet technology also exposes vulnerabilities, highlighting how dependent modern life has become on systems that must function even under extreme conditions. Social life in 2026 remains deeply communal, even as its forms evolve. Mardi Gras is now a global spectacle, drawing millions while still rooted in neighborhood traditions. Second lines wind through streets, celebrating life, loss, and continuity. Festivals fill the calendar, honoring music, food, and heritage. The city's diversity is more openly acknowledged, with voices once marginalized now demanding recognition and justice. New Orleans remains a place where identity is performed, shared, and constantly renegotiated. The environment looms larger than ever in modern New Orleans. Climate change brings rising seas, stronger storms, and increased uncertainty. Massive infrastructure projects work to strengthen levees and restore wetlands, recognizing that the city's survival depends on its relationship with the natural world. Green spaces and water management systems reflect a growing understanding that resilience is not about domination, but coexistence. The Mississippi River, ancient and powerful, still defines the city's fate. When we compare New Orleans in 1900 to New Orleans in 2026, the differences are striking, yet the spirit feels familiar. The tools have changed, the skyline has shifted, and the world has grown smaller through technology. But the city's core, its insistence on living fully in the face of uncertainty, remains intact. Music still spills into the streets. Food still tells stories of ancestry and adaptation. Celebration still rises alongside hardship. New Orleans has never been an easy place to live, and that has shaped its people. From the laborers along the docks in 1900 to the service workers, artists, and professionals of 2026, life here demands flexibility and grit. The city's history of struggle has produced not resignation, but creativity. Each generation inherits both the beauty and the burden of this place, adding its own chapter to an unfinished story. As time moves forward, New Orleans stands as a testament to human resilience and cultural continuity. It reminds us that progress is not always about replacing the old with the new, but about carrying meaning forward through change. From the misty mornings along the Mississippi in 1900 to the digitally connected neighborhoods of 2026, the city endures, shaped by water, memory, and the stubborn will to remain. In the end, New Orleans is more than a city. It is a conversation between past and future, between land and water, between loss and joy. Its transformation over more than a century mirrors the broader human story, one of adaptation, creativity, and hope in the face of uncertainty. As long as the river flows and the music plays, New Orleans will continue to remind us that time may change the shape of a place, but it cannot erase its soul.